Still here? Good. Let's keep going. Last time, our hero, Luffy, the boy who would be Pirate King, recruited his first crew member, the swordsman pirate hunter Zoro. Not an insignificant milestone. With a crew member under him, Luffy is now officially a pirate captain. And sure, it's only one crew member, and sure, his ship is only a dinghy right now, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. And problem number one, that somewhere is currently nowhere, because our boys are lost at sea. Kobe had some navigational skills, but he joined up with the Marines back in Shellstown. And without him, Luffy and Zoro are practitioners of the random drifting school of navigation. Which, to be fair, has been working out so far, but to be fair, now it's got them starving. A rubber man, though, is rarely without options. Luffy spots a bird overhead and launches himself up to catch it and bring back some dinner, only to be done dirty by perspective yet again. The giant bird flies off with Luffy clutched in his beak and Zoro rowing after them as fast as he can, which takes him straight through a trio of shipwrecked pirates. There sure is a lot going on in this seemingly empty stretch of ocean, but hey, that's One Piece, baby! Far from being grateful at the rescue, the trio try to take control of Zoro's dinghy, identifying themselves as pirates of the notorious Buggy the Clown. Self-identifying as subordinates of a clown may not sound very intimidating on paper, but hey, that's One Piece, baby! A short clobbering later, and the three fools are rowing the boat for Zoro. The bird, though, is long gone, so Zoro has the pirates take him to the nearest island instead. Clever! But what were these guys doing stranded in the ocean anyway? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're having another flashback. Remember those? I hope so, because remember, they're going to be a big deal before too long. In case you forgot though, the author, that's Oda, indicates a flashback by changing the gutters, the space between the panels, from white to black. And we are going to indicate a flashback by doing this. It had been a good day for our three nameless pirates. They'd just finished looting a decent haul of treasure from one small ship when they spotted another one on the horizon. The new ship only had 2 occupants, a starving girl and a very fancy-looking treasure chest. They were, dare I say, on a roll. Ignoring the starving girl, they jumped onto the treasure chest, only to find it empty. Worse yet, the weak and starving girl wasn't weak or starving at all. While they were distracted with the quote-unquote treasure, she had been busy stealing their ship and all of their loot. They would have followed, but the crafty lass used the weather to her advantage, timing her trick perfectly with the advent of a sudden squall, which capsized the pirates and left them stranded, while she sailed safely away. What a meanie, taking advantage of honest crooks like that. Worse yet, how are they going to explain any of this to their boss, Buggy the Clown? He's a really scary guy. He's even eaten a devil fruit. And you may be thinking, devil fruit? Luffy ate one of those. And you'd be right. That's about all the exposition we can expect from 4 dudes in a dinghy, so let's leave them to their rowing and shift our focus to their destination, the nearest island, where we find a suspiciously circus-themed pirate ship docked at the harbor, and a suspiciously familiar thief running through the streets. She's got a stolen map of the Grand Line in her hands, and a gang of pirates hot on her heels trying to reclaim it. At the same time, something suspiciously Luffy-shaped is spotted in the sky overhead, and the order is given to shoot it down. And our boy Luffy lands suspiciously right in the middle of the chase. Luffy is completely unharmed, but there's nothing suspicious about that. He is a rubber man, after all. And it turns out that our thief isn't just a fast runner. She's also a quick thinker. Boss, she lies, lyingly, you came to rescue me. I'll leave it to you, she says as she runs off. The pirates aren't particularly clever, so of course they buy the lie hook, line, and sinker and shift their focus to Luffy, who, tragically, is even less clever than they are and has absolutely no clue what's happened. Pirate flunky number 2 makes the first move, and in so doing learns a cardinal rule of One Piece. Do not touch the hat. And so, Monkey D. Luffy, the world's strongest boy, makes quick work of these hat-disrespecting losers, attracting the attention of our thief, who finally introduces herself as Nami, the cat burglar. Nami's trade is stealing treasure from pirates, and with someone like Luffy in her corner, well, the two of them could make a lot of berries. Luffy isn't interested in teaming up though. He's got to find his crew. Luffy tries to walk away, but Nami isn't the sort to give up quite that easily, especially once she smells profit. So she tries a new tactic, asking about Luffy's hat. Why is he so protective of it? "It's my treasure," answers Luffy, casually dropping one of the major story themes of the arc like it isn't even a big deal. And speaking of story, it's high time we formally introduced one of our major players, Buggy the Clown, captain of the creatively named Buggy Pirates. He's holding court on the roof of a tavern, named the Drinker Pub, if anyone cares, and doing the usual villain stuff, which right now means chewing out his men for losing that map to the Grand Line. And right before they were about to go there too. Ugh, the timing. Buggy's also got a fuse as short as his cannons. He has this comedic tick where he mishears everything as an insult to his nose, and ooh, it just makes him so angry. Angry enough to make an example of this poor swab. Buggy somehow suspends the poor fool in empty air and blasts him away with a cannon. Clearly, the rumors are true, and Buggy has some kind of devil fruit power. But what that power may be, we can't yet say. But one thing is clear. Buggy is a clown to be taken seriously. He's so cool he doesn't even look at the explosion, and he gives the order to ransack the town and return his map to him. And elsewhere in town, Nami and Luffy are in someone's house. We'll never know who, because nobody's home. As Nami explains, the whole town is practically deserted now that Buggy's taken over the tavern. Granted, Nami has to explain this all to Luffy several times over. Luffy forgets her name, Buggy's name, why the town is empty. He just doesn't appreciate good exposition the way you or I would. But Nami doesn't need a good listener, she just needs a tough and gullible partner to help her steal treasure. She's already stolen Buggy's map, and soon she'll steal the rest of his treasure too. And then she'll use the map to go to the Grand Line and steal the treasure of even bigger pirates. A quick reminder might be helpful here. In the world of One Piece, the Grand Line is where all the action is. And even more importantly, it's also where the One Piece is supposed to be. The One Piece is the legendary treasure that Luffy needs to find to become king of the pirates, and I think the flow chart pretty much builds itself from there. Luffy hasn't really been listening, but he understands that Nami is headed to the Grand Line. Does that mean she knows how to navigate? And yes, it does. In fact, Nami is an expert navigator. It's one of her top talents, next to thieving and cheating. Luffy's so excited, he asks her to join his crew on the spot. And, you know, this is the second time Luffy's asked someone morally opposed to piracy to join his pirate crew. Nami is out. All the way out. Nami hates pirates. The only thing she loves are money and tangerines. I realize there's a lot to unpack in that statement, but I'm actually just going to let it stand on its own for now. Instead, I want to talk about tangerines. While I don't have any problem with tangerine as a translation, the word Nami actually uses here is mikan, which is a citrus fruit originating either from Japan or China, depending on who you ask. They're quite popular in Japan, and not unheard of outside of Japan, where they're normally called either Japanese mandarins or, more commonly, satsumas. If you ever want to experience an existential crisis, by the way, go check out the citrus family tree. That is a pile of drop spaghetti that will make you question everything you thought you knew about fruit. Despite being all the way out of this deal, Nami gets a look in her eye. She'll consider navigating for Luffy, if he helps her out on one little favor first. Just come with me to see Buggy, she says. Done and done, says Luffy. Say, what's that rope for? And that's the story of how Luffy found himself tied up and thrown at the feet of Buggy the Clown. Nami's plan here is a bold one. Sure, she says, I stole your map, but it was my boss's idea, and he's a fool, so I've double-crossed him, and now I want to work for you, Mr. Buggy the Clown, sir. And that's the story of how Nami infiltrated the Buggy Pirates. Buggy likes this turn of events. He's got his map back, and a new crew member along with it? Time to party. And party they do. And see, in addition to thieving, cheating, and navigating, Nami is also second to none at drinking. Her real plan here is to wait until the clowns have partied themselves under the table and then make off with the map and the rest of Buggy's treasure too. As for Luffy, all things considered, he'd rather be let out of the cage. If her plan goes well enough, Nami might toss him the key on her way out. But Buggy isn't going to wait around for that. As punishment for stealing his map, Buggy's gonna shoot Luffy with a cannon. And to make things extra spicy, he's using his own special ammunition, the Buggy Ball. That clown face isn't just for show either. These balls pack a wallop, and Buggy wants Nami to do the honors. In fact, Buggy insists. Nami's all for thieving and cheating, and she might even dabble in outright dishonesty, but murder? That's different. But with a bloodthirsty band of pirate clowns behind her, Nami may not have much choice. While the circus waits, Nami stalls for time, hoping to find a way out. But when an impatient pirate lights the fuse for her, Nami is finally forced to act. And act, Nami does. On instinct, she draws her weapon of choice, a segmented staff she keeps hidden under her skirt, and makes her stand. It would have been far safer to light the fuse and simply let Luffy die, but that's not a path Nami is willing to walk, which is very noble and all, but with Luffy caged, the fuse already lit, and an angry pack of bloodthirsty clowns, well, it's far from a best-case scenario. As the clowns close in, only seconds are left on the fuse, and Nami prioritizes stopping the cannon, an act of heroism that leaves her wide open. Wide open, that is, to rescue, because Zoro has finally arrived. Woo! The pirates are confused. They all know of pirate hunter Zoro by his reputation alone. Seeing him show up out of the blue is, well, it's scary. Nami is also confused. Luffy mentioned his pirate crew, but is pirate hunter Zoro really a member? That does not add up. And Zoro is more confused than anyone. What happened to the bird? Why is Luffy in a cage now? Where did all these clowns come from? Ugh. Whatever. Zoro is goal-oriented. It's time to retrieve his captain and go. Except, Buggy the Clown insists on standing in his way. They each draw blades, and Zoro honestly makes surprisingly quick work of Buggy. His crew doesn't seem too put out, but whatever, worry about the clowns later. Luffy's still trapped in a cage. And, these bars are too thick to cut with a sword. Hey, do any of you clowns have the key? Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh, floating hand! Oh no, 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 no! Oh. Remember Buggy's mysterious devil fruit power? Yeah, this is definitely it. Buggy ate the chop fruit, making him a chopped man in the same way the gum fruit made Luffy a rubber man. No amount of slicing and or dicing on Zoro's part was ever going to have any effect. Buggy can basically fall apart and reassemble at will. Literally, he cannot be cut in any meaningful way. What a freak! This is our second devil fruit of the series. Quite the milestone. Story-wise, this second fruit clues us into the unpredictable nature of devil fruit powers. They can be anything. The rules have yet to be written. Name-wise, though, we're starting to see a pattern emerge. See, the Japanese name for Buggy's fruit is the Bara Bara no Mi. Bara being the Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound of something coming apart or falling to pieces. Lots of devil fruits are going to be named after untranslatable sound effects in this way, so the English names are going to be doing their best. Chop, though, is actually a pretty good translation, so credit where it's due in this instance. Also, the Japanese devil fruit names all follow the same rhyme scheme, that being a repeated double syllable. Baba, baba, gomu gomu, bara bara. Get it? The English translation might have been able to pull off something like this, but I don't think Oda told anyone about this pattern ahead of time. Oh well. Buggy being immune to swords puts Zoro in a tight spot, so Luffy picks up the slack. Luffy can't do much while tied and caged beside insulting Buggy's nose, but luckily, that's enough. To be clear, Buggy isn't wearing something. That's his real nose. Man was born a clown. Buggy takes the bait in a big way, sending a dagger straight at Luffy's face. But Luffy eats daggers for breakfast. Without missing a beat, Luffy gives the order to Zoro, who flips the loaded cannon back at Buggy in his gang. And now, all that's left is to effect a clean getaway. Without a key, Zoro has no hope of opening that cage, but he favors the direct approach anyway. And when the smoke clears, Zoro, Nami, Luffy, and the impossibly heavy iron cage are all missing. Now, understand that Buggy has his map back. He could leave well enough alone, but reputation is everything, and Buggy will not tolerate being clowned on like this. It's time for this circus to bring out the wild animal show. And Buggy sends Moji, lion tamer, and first mate to take the stage. And because I know you care, the lion is named Richie. Back in the streets of Orangetown, that's the town's name, by the way, Zoro has run as far as the blood loss will let him. He finally drops Luffy's cage and collapses in the middle of the street. Are you looking at that dog? Because so is Luffy. He's a playful little scamp, and he and Luffy are still playing when Nami finds them. How she found them so quickly, in their cunning hiding spot in the middle of the road, we may never know. Instinct, I guess? Luffy's already taken to calling Nami his navigator, which Nami still insists against because she doesn't know Luffy the way we know Luffy. While Zoro was dragging a cage through the empty street of Orangetown, Nami took a little detour to swipe the key. She tosses the key to Luffy, and the dog, well, he is playful now, isn't he? All this commotion has attracted maybe the only human resident of Orangetown who hasn't yet fled the pirates. A strange older man in homemade armor who identifies himself as Boodle, the mayor. He also identifies that rascally dog, Shoo Shoo. And yes, that is the correct spelling and the correct pronunciation. It's French. Boodle gets Zoro to a bed so he can sleep off the blood loss before returning to feed Shoo Shoo. Shoo Shoo has been guarding this short stretch of road, or more specifically, he's been protecting this pet food store from the pirates. It belonged to a man named Hawker, Boodle's good friend and Shoo Shoo's master. And I say belonged because Hawker, sadly, is no longer with us. He fell ill and left for the hospital 3 months ago, leaving Shoo Shoo in charge while he was gone. And, well, suffice to say, Hawker is never coming back, and Shoo Shoo has refused to leave ever since. Most people believe Shoo Shoo is waiting for his master's return, but Boodle doesn't think so. Shoo Shoo is a smart dog. He knows Hawker isn't coming back. But this store, his master's store, this is Shoo Shoo's treasure, because it's everything of Hawker he has left. And I'm going to cry! Thankfully, though, it may not come to that, as the roar of a fast-approaching lion chases everyone off the premises. Everyone, that is, except for Shoo Shoo, who refuses to leave, and Luffy, who can't. A few things to know about Moji. 1, he's not wearing a costume. That's his real hair. 2, he can tame any animal, even Shoo Shoo. Ouch! What a scamp. And 3, he's not here to play games. As Nami and Boodle watch in horror, Moji commands Richie to attack. The heavy iron cage crumbles under the assault. The good news? Luffy's finally out of that cage. The bad news? Before he's able to do anything, Richie the lion has knocked him clean through a nearby house and out the other side. Youch! Now, before you go panicking, Luffy is totally fine. He's made of rubber. Nami and Boodle are panicking, but that's because they don't know Luffy is made of rubber like you and I do. And to be clear, this is because Luffy hasn't told them. Not because Luffy keeps secrets, mind you. It's just, it hasn't come up yet. And remember, details you and I would consider important, and details Monkey D. Luffy considers important, are not the same thing. Now, what does Luffy consider important? Well, 2 things have come to mind. 1, there's a map to the Grand Line here, and 2, there's also an expert navigator in this town. And Luffy's determined to get both of them. On the other side of the house, things are decidedly less good. Richie wants that pet food, but Shushu refuses to back down. A small dog bites a lion, and Shushu remembers opening the store with Hawker. A small dog bites a lion, and Shushu remembers relaxing with his master after a hard day's work. A small dog bites a lion. Shushu remembers getting scolded for eating the merchandise. A small dog bites a lion. Shushu remembers how proud his master was of him. A small dog bites a lion. Shushu remembers Hawker's face the day he left for the hospital. A small dog bites a lion. Ignorant of any events that transpired after a lion knocked him through an entire house, Luffy casually rounds the corner, and what he sees is intolerable. Moji, in a small act of petty cruelty, has set fire to Shushu's store. The small dog can only bark at the flames. Luffy stands next to Shushu and silently watches the store burn. If you'll indulge me, I'd like to pull back just a bit and talk about storytelling. It's common, especially in stories like this, that we, the reader, can see what our characters are thinking. When Zoro chides himself for letting his guard down, when Nami hatches a plan, when Buggy thinks something cartoonish, we are there in their heads with them. We can literally read and see and hear their thoughts. Luffy is different. We will never hear Luffy's inner monologue. We are never allowed into his head. We, like everyone else in the world, can only judge Luffy by his words and by his actions. Which is why it is so important that after staring, expressionless, into the burning ruin of Shushu's treasure, Luffy's first act is to place himself directly in the path of a lion. Moji cannot believe Luffy is still alive after the blow he took from Richie, but it takes more than a little kick from a lion to kill a rubber man. Moji commands Richie to take Luffy's head, but Luffy isn't caged up this time, and he pile drives the lion into the dirt with a move he calls Gum Gavel. Realizing too late that he's up against a devil fruit user, Moji tries to apologize, but apologies won't bring back Shushu's treasure, and Moji meets the same fate as Richie. Back at the scene of the crime, Nami is taking things personally. We don't know the weight she carries, but Nami has clearly seen more than her share of this brand of cruelty from pirates. Which is why, when Luffy, the pirate, rounds the corner, Boodle has to hold Nami back. Luffy, in his usual way, is unfazed by others. He walks right by Nami and places a single box of pet food, probably the only remaining piece of the store, in front of Shushu. And again, when Nami realizes Luffy fought a lion for that box, we know it because we can hear her thoughts. But with Luffy, we only know what he chooses to say out loud. You did good. And Shushu picks up the box and leaves, stopping only long enough for a parting bark over his shoulder. What a good boy. Back at the tavern, Moji has managed to crawl his way back to Buggy. Moji tries his best to croak out a warning, but collapses before he can finish saying, "Rubber man." And Buggy has had it. This is, by far, too many setbacks in a single day. Break out the buggy balls, load the cannons, this whole town's gotta go. If you're worried about Shushu, don't be. He's made it to the same refuge the rest of the townfolk have been sheltering in. He's a bit of a celebrity dog, so they recognize him instantly and tend to his wounds. Who you should be worrying about is Mayor Boodle, since he, and also Nami and Luffy and Zoro, I guess, are currently standing in the town that Buggy just ordered destroyed. Credit where it's due, Nami apologizes to Luffy for painting him with the same brush as the others. Luffy doesn't mind. He remembers Nami saying she lost someone to pirates. He understands. Though, to be clear, he's very much not interested in any of the details. But while Nami is calming down, Boodle is getting worked up. In the same way that Shushu's treasure was the pet food store, Boodle's treasure is all of Orangetown. See, he's more than just the mayor of Orangetown. 40 years ago, Boodle was one of the original settlers here. This island was nothing but wilderness when he first arrived, and Boodle has poured decades of his life into building it up into the thriving port town it is today. In other words, Boodle is the mayor, if you get what I'm saying. Which is probably why it hurts him so much when a buggy ball rips through a row of houses right in front of him. As a silver lining, Zoro survived the destruction of the house he was napping in. And that same quick nap has helped Zoro, sleep off the blood loss because he's just built different. But Boodle has had all he can stand, and he can't stand no more. He knows he's being reckless, but he doesn't care. A man's got to do what a man's got to do, and Boodle charges off to confront Buggy. For Luffy and Zoro, things are getting interesting. They didn't know where the day was going to take them, but now they've got an enemy to face and a treasure to claim, so that's good. Nami is concerned Boodle is heading into certain death, and to be clear, he very much is. But don't worry, says Luffy. He likes the old man far too much to let him die. And speaking of Nami, why not join us already? You want that map, you want that treasure, and we're all headed to the Grand Line. Come on, what do you say? And while Nami is absolutely not about to become a pirate under any circumstances, for the moment at least, Nami agrees to a joining of forces while she and Luffy work towards their common goal. And so, all of our pieces are in place. A town in jeopardy. A mayor in over his head. Our villain in his fortress. Our heroes on the way. The map in the balance. And the reward, the Grand Line. Next time, Luffy's probably going to die.